Hello, everybody. Hello, world, and welcome to this very special episode of the G2G podcast. I know things are looking a little bit different today because we are flipping the script. My name is Tamsanga KrTC Sibanze, and I have the honor and the privilege of interviewing or having a conversation with the man behind the mic. Usually, he's the one that's firing the questions, but today we're putting him on the hot seat and asking questions to Galston Anthony, the man, the myth, the legend. Let's find out what's going on in his head, what's going on in his heart, and what does he have in his hand in this particular season. Galston, welcome to your podcast.
Well, firstly, you did introductions better than I do, so I think this should be called the Tamsanga. Man, I get your name wrong all the time.
Come on, man. We practiced this. We practiced.
Like I said, I think in the previous podcast that if I had to go to Europe, or when I go to Europe, I'm going to impose as you. Say, what's your name? My name is Tamsanga, girl.
Yeah.
I think I'll be getting a lot of baddies.
Oh, Lord.
European baddies will be all over me.
Impersonator alert. Bro, I sit in a very unique pocket where I've known you for about 15 years and running now. And in this conversation, I just want us to take it back, bring it forward to the present, and then throw it forward to the future. Maybe let's start with what is it, or when was the moment where you realized that you had a calling for broadcasting? Because I've seen you in so many different formats, or in so many different, I've seen the many different versions of Galston on radio, on television, and now you have evolved into the podcast space. When did you realize that you had a passion, a calling for broadcasting, and when did you decide to do something about it?
I don't think I've ever had a calling for broadcast or in the media space.
All right.
I'm a son of an engineer, electromechanical engineer, and that's what my dad trained me to be. But my dad had this autocratic style where it was just a little bit too difficult for me. And I started becoming a rebel.
Okay.
And the arts direction is where I went with, because the pressure I had in high school was carrying this accent around in South Africa. People wanted me to be as cool as what TV was. And I didn't watch TV at home, and I wasn't that kind of person. So I found art, media, and entertainment through rebellion. And that was how I decided to get into it. And the rest I learned along the way. I started off as a rapper, you know?
Yep.
I think that's where most people started, because I couldn't sing. I couldn't hold, a key. And then from...
Yeah. And by the way, while we're on the subject of him being a rapper, him and I have been on a number of rap battles. And
killed him! Murder!
That's his story. That's what he wants to believe.
And we're sticking to it.
But, we've got the video clips. But
you know what? Let's battle it right now. No. Who's going to beatbox?
No, it's cool. But we have been on music together.
Absolutely.
I think we did a track called Go Get 'Em and a couple of other songs. Where was that a natural sort of like space that you went into based on the fact that, like you said, you have this American background? Maybe let's dive into that. Tell us a little bit more about the American background.
So I'm a half and half, right? I got two different nationalities, of which one parent's American, the other one's Mozambican.
Sure.
But growing up in South Africa most of my life, I'd be more South African than anything else.
Okay.
But
so culturally, you're more South African, but even though your nationality says...
I think culturally I'd be American Mozambican. But there's a sense of grooming in South Africa that really made who I am.
Sure.
Because this is the air that I breathe, the water that I drank, and so much more. So I think I take from all three nationalities whenever I feel like it.
Yeah.
Yes, whenever
you have that opportunity to...
Right. So when I see one nationality doing battle, hey, I don't know nothing about that. I choose my side, right? But South Africa, if anything, I would say that I'm actually more South African than anything else, despite what I sound like.
At any given point in time, for every person or for every man, there comes a time where you make a decision that changes the trajectory of your life forever. When did that happen for Galston Anthony?
There was many points in my life where I made decisions that changed it forever.
Yeah.
The first time was when I decided to be a rebellion against my father and decided to go into arts. I could have just walked out of that house, gone into engineering school, which I did.
Okay.
And then turn out to be a rich man, forget about everybody else, and just be on top of the world and gone, like unreachable. But then I think the arts department or the arts as a whole made me see how I can create and build, because as starting off as a rapper, the stories I got onto started from the bottom, when I had nothing. So I think I adapted that lifestyle and that mentality and hustled from there, because we both come from an era of hustle.
Yeah.
Hustle your music, selling your mixtape out the trunk, and so forth, so forth. So given that I was very privileged to live in different parts of the world, I picked up so much of their hustle mentality, and I used that in my, everyday being. So that was the first choices that I made. And as I went along the way, I decided nobody is going to give me beats. So I had to learn how to make beats. So I got into production, and nobody was teaching me how to film. Nobody wanted to film me. So I had to pick up a camera, learn how to film, and so much more. And I wanted to get played on radio. Nobody wanted to play my songs on radio. So I got onto radio, internet radio. And I wanted to be a TV star as well. Nobody wanted to give me an acting job. So I became a presenter. So these were the decisions that I made along the way as I went, basically throughout my 20s. And I think along the way, that's how I met you.
Yeah.
Where how we met actually was I was on radio, and you came in for an interview.
Sure.
You and a couple dudes, and it was bromance from there on out.
But Galston, let's be real. I said one of the things that we're going to do here is be real. You talk about starting from the bottom, but what does that look like for you? Because I don't think you come from the same bottom that somebody who comes from the hood or from Ekasi comes from. It's not the same. You're not in the same WhatsApp group.
No.
What is your definition of your starting from the bottom?
Well, to start off, I started off as a rich kid, right? I got into this world, boom, daddy was rich. Now, here's the crazy part is that growing up, I didn't understand I was rich, because everyone in the neighborhood was
Sure.
Was
you're
us.
You're all the same, yeah.
right. And if we went to people with less bigger houses, we didn't recognize them as poor. I think social media has made us differentiate rich from poor.
Okay.
Right? So, hey, we're good with you, we'll go to your house. You good with us, you come to our house. So my starting at the bottom was not being poor, because I've never experienced being poor before. But it's more like being ousted by, you're not going to be an engineer. You don't want to be an engineer. You want to be a rapper. I'm cutting you off. I ain't paying no school fees. You're going to be on your own until you figure this thing out. And when you fail, you're going to come right back here. Now that's bottom for me, because now I got to figure it out. I'm squatting at
Sure.
KrTC's house.
Sure.
The next thing I'm
Sure.
squatting at the next person's house, trying to figure this thing out so that I get my big break. And that big break didn't necessarily happen in music. It happened in different areas, because my dad is a businessman, not just an engineer. So I picked up a lot of traits from him. So a lot of trading happened along the way, and I was climbing up bit by bit and then trying to fund my music on the side. So my bottom was basically a mental and emotional bottom, and not a financial.
There we go. All right. You're talking about the many different faces, the many different versions of Galston. I've seen the rapper, obviously. I've seen the radio host. I've seen the TV host. I've seen the TV producer. I've seen the music producer. I've also seen you shoot documentaries. I've seen you shoot music videos. I've seen you do adverts for big brands like Mercedes at one point in time. Can you just tell us a little bit about that drive to try these different avenues? Where does that come from? And what were the different lessons? And perhaps what has been the best version of Galston from where you're sitting?
All the versions were the best versions.
All right.
Definitely all of them. I have a particular talent, and the particular talent is the talent to learn. So I wanted to be a rapper, I ended up being a great rapper. I wanted to be a producer.
Except for the time when you and I got into a battle, but yeah, that's not what this conversation's
you're
about.
making that up. He lost that battle.
All right, cool.
I became a producer. I was a hell of a producer. Got into film. I became a hell of a film person. Hell, we in podcast right now, and I think I'm a hell of a podcaster. You know.
So G, I don't think people will understand the gravity of how far. Just maybe name one or two big name artists that you featured or you've collaborated in while you were still in music.
As an artist?
Yeah, as an artist.
The most notable person is Casper.
That's what I'm saying though. Like, I don't think people even know that or people even understand that. You've done music with the Ice Queen.
Oh yes, Ice Queen. Yeah. So look, there's a lot of people, like, even at the top of my head, you have to remind me.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's why I said I'm sitting in a very unique position, because I've been there as these things were happening, and you're just sort of like glossing over it. Yeah, I did music. Yeah, I did this, but we need to sort of just like double click and sit on this for a bit.
So with the music side, I was very passionate, like every rapper was. I wanted to be the best, and I could give you a little experience. The first time I met Tebow Touch was at a strip club.
Come on now.
Now, I don't go to strip clubs, but what kept driving me was the factor that nobody wanted to give me an opportunity. Now, at this time, I was living in Pretoria. Part of the whole Cap City movement, I was one of the people that had to push. All the names that you think of, Cap City, Rap City, I was there. Now, what would happen is that because I earned myself a couple millions at a young age, I managed to afford a car. And bear in mind, being a millionaire back in 2005 is unheard of.
That's a different,
Right. Now,
different ballgame.
Daddy, right? This is not daddy's money coming in. This is me hustling back to front. And what happened was at that time, I drove a really nice BMW that even your daddies didn't drive. Yeah. Right. And we went down to a club that I organized a performance. I said, yo, guys, certain rappers from Pretoria, let's go. When we got there, these guys kind of like dipped me over, and they said we only could do 3 songs. And they're like, yo, because we the bigger rappers, let's run with that. Well, they performed. I tried to slide in my performance on something I organized. I couldn't get in. Then what happened was Tebow Touch was hosting it, but one of my close friends was very close to Tebow Touch at the time. Yeah. And I said, you know what? Go to Tebow Touch, tell him I'll give him 500 Rand cash. And that 500 Rand, I'm going to perform a song. And if the club don't like it, then he can keep the 500. If they like it, I'm going to keep the 500.
Okay.
And he got onto Mike. Tebow touched out. Yo, so my boy G said that, you know, if he can get on this mic and y'all like it, I'm going to keep this $500. If you don't, we'll give it back to him, or the other way around. And I did the song. Funny enough, that was my first performance ever at a strip club. And they asked how you like it. The crowd found it lukewarm. So he took $250 and I went home with $250.
Okay.
All right. But then he continued to say, you know.
So hold on, G. You're performing at a strip club. I'm going to have to ask, did they clap?
What clap? Depends what you're talking about. Now, it was a shocker to me, right? I need you to know.
That's exactly what I'm asking.
It was a shocker to me. Because we found out it was a strip club. It's not like we were going to a strip club, right?
Yeah.
And it wasn't very full.
Okay.
And there was nobody, you know, we didn't see anybody like coming out naked or anything yet. We just saw a pole, and it was a Sunday. Oh. So the club was not really full. It was pretty much empty, right? You could say there was about 50 people tops, but hey, man, 50 is better than 0. And he said to me, Galston, I see that you have the courage, you have the balls. I never met somebody like this. How about you come to my show, Rhyme and Reason?
Wow.
I'm like, whoa, okay,
all right,
cool. So Rhyme and Reason at the time was the biggest hip hop show.
Sure.
The next Saturday, I get to his show. I'm like sitting there. He's asking questions. I don't even know what to say because it's my first time on the radio. So he's asking, are you there? Are you there, G? I'm like, yeah, I'm right here. So how did you feel about it? It's like, I just wanted to perform, man. I was tired of just being put in the back. So I had to put my money where my mouth was, you know? And they played that song that one time on Metro, and that was the last time I heard that song on Metro. And that was my hip-hop career where I started it, and I started making sure I started speaking to other rappers to try to get them on my songs, which was a very, very tough one because,
Yeah,
getting
because you,
beats
because
was
you're
tough.
unknown. You're just coming into the game. Not only you're coming into the game, but you're also coming into the space. And you're sort of like an outsider coming into the SA space. Yeah,
Right, right. And to make it worse is that hip hop has this gatekeeping.
of course,
I've
of
got this
course.
gatekeeping mentality that you're not gonna get in. You got to make sure you prove yourself in the streets
You
before
gotta
you can.
earn. Well,
Right.
at the time, that was there was definitely, you had to earn the space into the game. Right now, it's wide open. Anybody can come in. Somebody said hip hop used to be an Ivy League institution. Used to be like an Ivy League institution. The entry requirements were quite high, but right
Why
now
not? Yeah.
it's like
Anybody can get in.
it's like a community college. Anybody can come in. Yeah,
It was a community college.
yeah,
Well, look, it was pernicious for what it's worth, but because I was the kid with a lot of money,
yeah.
people wanted to hang out with me, but they didn't quite want to work with me to that degree. So along the way, I met your squatter camps. I met um, Entity Keenan,
Yeah, yeah.
Entity AKA when he was still in St. John's. So he was in school, and I was the one driving around. So after school, I go pick him up. He just lived down the road from where he went to school.
Yeah.
I actually met him while he was in school, and I kind of like visited his school because I was supposed to attend that school for a short while, and that's how I got to know him. And then weekends we'd meet at Satin City, and we would exchange CDs, would exchange beats. Nothing he used so far.
Yeah.
And this is how I got to know people in the industry as we went. So fast forward, I worked with quite a few people, Jabba, Double HB,
Yeah.
and so much more. But when none of the songs that we've done actually have come out. So
Yeah.
matter of fact, along the way, I lost them. But at least I've got the memories. At least the internet knows that me
Sure.
and those people had, good relations.
Speaking of things that you acquired and you lost, let's talk about now Galston, the businessman, and just the roller coaster ride, the rigmarole of having money and not having money, and having money and not having money. Let's just dive into that a little bit.
Now, I'm naturally a hustler. I watched my dad. He's brilliant. I believe myself to be a great guy, but there's nobody greater than I see than that man.
Right.
And I found myself hustling by what he taught me unconsciously. Made a lot of money, started other businesses. I started selling computers for that matter. And people started buying because they're like, yo, man, who's this young kid selling computers? Out of his trunk, people bought like a lot of businesses. Then I had an engineering business, which was a subsidy of my dad. I was like, you know what? I can get that fixed for you. Oh, really? Okay. How you going to get it fixed? It's like, my dad's an engineer. Who's your dad? That's your dad? Man, we believe he can fix. I can't fix none. I go get his ex-employees to go get it fixed. So I get money and work my way to the top. But I had a weakness. My weakness is that when a woman spoke into my ear, she had control over me.
Right.
So eventually, before my first girlfriend, when I came to Johannesburg, or Pretoria rather, I don't know what she did. She spoke certain things into my ear that made me just dip. Before I knew it, looked around, lost everything. I lost my 2 cars. Both were BMWs. One was a V8. The other one was a four cylinder. But it was a big thing to have a 4-cylinder. The 3-liter at the time. And I looked at my life fall apart. I spent 6 years hoping that this rapping career would blow up. It didn't.
And then
And then I switched. I got into video.
Yeah.
And then that was me going back up again, rebuilding. Got married. The first time, it didn't work out. Lost it all again.
We're gonna circle back to that. Because we need to double click on that and just like take a deep dive. Here you are right now. Okay, even before the right now. At one point in time, you were doing these amazing documentaries. You were doing this music. You're shooting, directing, editing these music videos. I know. Again, you and I got to work together on a project for the UNFPA, and then we see you shooting music video. I mean, not music videos, but adverts, or was it just like? Was adverts for brands like Mercedes. How does that come? How does that come about?
So to be clear, these are adverts like social media, but they did pretty well for what it's worth.
Yeah.
So given that I've got this hustler mentality, I knock on doors. I've bought a couple of AMGs from Mercedes. I'm like, you know what? I think y'all need to put money back in my pocket.
Sure.
Right?
Sure.
How about I film a couple things for you? Yeah, we don't quite have the budget. It's like, all right, I see how y'all playing, right? Y'all give me cars for a weekend and then I keep them and then you know that I'm going to buy one because I just love my AMGs. Good and well. That's a couple of M's in your pocket. How about you just sign me a small check like $30,000? I'll come film for you. All right, they ain't trying to do it, so I filmed the whole store, put it on social media. Filmed this car, put it on social media. And then I did so much filming they couldn't ignore it. It's like, you know what? We'll sign you a check. As a matter of fact, we don't only own this branch, we own all the ones in Pretoria. You're going to film for all of them. I might
There we go.
say less, And that's how it happened. Then other branches saw, hey, man, this guy's doing very unique content. Social media was not what it is now. I think we need to jump on, give him a call. And this is how I did commercial to commercials.
Yeah. Man, what a life. What a what a journey. But here we are right now. Why this podcast? Why are you finding yourself in this particular season in your life right now, and what made it necessary for you to set up the podcast where for the first time in years you're in front of the mic, not the mic, in front of the camera instead of behind it?
KrTC, the reason why is because I try to work hard on the foreground to be noticed. As a rapper, as a TV presenter back in the days, as a radio presenter, and my voice was not heard. Okay. When I got into the background, it was particularly more successful in the background, but a lot of artists tricked me into being there because I managed artists as well.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, I sit on the largest, influence on continent. That is Galston Anthony's product. Yet, nobody knows Galston Anthony. I actually feel that if I had to be ran over by a car today, my legacy will be gone. So the podcast was an opportunity that the internet gave me that I could set up my own cameras, start talking to the people, make them understand perspectives of life that I see them, number one. Number two, the experiences that I went through to try and teach people different. So I have that unique opportunity because I don't fall into the monolith of everybody else, where everyone would say, this is how things should be done, and they know damn well that they align. So given that I'm the kind of person that I think I still have a rebellion DNA within myself, I'm like, you know what? The world needs to hear this. Plus, I think it's time for my face to come out. And so much more, which I think could be a latter discussion, is that I got kids.
Yeah.
And my two handsome boys need to understand who their daddy was. So doing that through this platform is like a beneficial and a win to me, to win to the people that are willing to subscribe to me, and also a win to my legacy.
Great stuff, because I'm looking forward to us getting to that part. But before we do that, I just want to, while we're on the subject of the podcast, there's hundreds, if not thousands of them out there. What is G2G's unique value proposition? What makes you cut through the clutter and keeps you head and shoulders above everybody else in the game?
Experience, tenacity, cadence, intelligence.
Come on.
Good looks.
Hey.
Resources. So much more.
Okay.
Look, I've got an advantage over everybody. I think I'm privileged that people at least watch this. The connection that I have within the industry is wild. Because I started early, I've got 21 years in the game. Oh, yeah. I got to know politicians. Even before I got into the game, I knew politicians when I was young because of where my dad was sitting in life. Celebrities I got to learn on this side. And over time, it became a snowball effect, right? It started off as a little snowflake and so much more. So getting anybody, just about anybody in my podcast is very, very possible. Even the president. It's not like I have the president's number, but I can get hold of the president.
Yeah, you're like one or two or three people away.
No, one.
Okay.
One. I'm one person away from the president. And we're not talking just president of the country. We're talking about president of political parties. I live in an area where, some of the presidents of political parties live in my neighborhood, and they're new to my neighborhood. Right? And the thing is, it's not like, I know that you just live around. I've met them before. We've had chats. So that's an advantage. Celebrities, because I've been here so long, a lot of celebrities only came after me. My house or my world has become a therapy session to them. If something goes on, they come to me and look for the advice. So that's one ahead that I have. Number two is the, viewpoint. Because I didn't grow up like majority of my audience, I have a different perspective. So it will be interesting for them to hear my perspective, even though a lot of them tend to want to disagree, but they're like, you know what? He might be onto something. And there's so much more. So having that one up is why I want to just keep doing this podcast and keep sharing what I have, what's in this brain.
Speaking of your point of view, your perspective, I think you are now notorious and synonymous with the unpopular opinion. A lot of the time people go on podcasts and want to talk about the trending topics and the popular, conversation. You have decided to go a different route. Why did you choose the approach of addressing the unpopular opinion?
The majority will always lead themselves to a pit.
Okay.
And I'm like, there's a sense of I love people, but there's also a sense of I don't love people. And I don't know where I stand sometimes, but then watching people lead themselves into a pit makes me so mad. It's like, how do you not see that you're being psyoped? How do you not see that you're being fooled? How do you not see that you're walking the wrong route? And that's where my voice comes in. So it's unpopular because there's a school of thought that everybody comes from. And I don't know why I did not learn from that. It just happens that a lot later I'm learning that, hey, this is the order of the day. Something's wrong. And then the podcast is birthed. My opinions are birthed from that.
Now, again, I've seen the evolution of Galston Anthony in the many different seasons of your life. At some point in time, I met Galston, the rapper and the hustler. And then I got to meet Galston Anthony, the husband. So let's maybe have that conversation in terms of how was your journey in the marriage space, and not just once, but twice. How did Galston Anthony, the man, navigate the marriage space? And what were the wins? What were the losses? What were the lessons from that period of your life?
It's a loaded question, eh?
Yeah.
Really loaded. My mom and my dad are married to today. They're going on 4 decades and more. Naturally, I wanted to get married because that's what I see. Yeah. I found myself a woman I thought would be for me. But only much later did I realize that I chose incorrectly.
Right.
The marriage between me and my first wife, who we produced my son, Riley, my firstborn, it didn't go too well, particularly because of my inability to do good evaluations on what would work for me. I'll tell you how I chose my first wife. I chose her based on the fact of honor. I have to credit her for, at the time I hit my first low, right? And I had nothing. And, at that point of my life, a lot of my peers were like, psst, look at you now. We starting to graduate and your ass is broke. What happened to your car? Man, they started losing faith in me because it's been more than 1 year being broke. They thought maybe, I'll pull out of it.
You're done and out. Yeah.
Right. So I meet this girl 1 year older than I am, and she's just charmed by me. I was surprised, And, I'm just doing this talk, I lost a couple of things, still the trauma from losing things. Yeah. And then I explained to her, this is my plan. And she looks at me. She's like, you telling me that everybody else that heard your plan didn't figure out your plan would work? That don't make sense to me. I'm like, yeah. She says, why are you listening to my plan? It's like, because it makes complete sense. This is a very simple thing.
Yeah.
And then she's like, how can I participate? I'm like, here are my needs. Within 2 months, I was out of poverty. Not out of poverty, brokenness. So she helped me out. And I was like, that's the one.
Mm.
So my evaluation was based on the fact on a business partnership, so to put it.
All right.
Right. And, I regained wealth all over again because of her. Jobs is going well. Everything was going perfect. But as I was married to her, I kind of found that she liked the man that was working for her, right? But not the man himself.
Okay.
And now the man himself was a guy that's energetic, the guy that's got a lot of opinions, the guy that likes to explore, the guy who likes to start a lot of business, the guy who likes to take a lot of risk. She hated all of it. So now we're having a lot of dissonance, entire amount of dissonance that each of us is going our different paths and starting to find side partners.
Right.
I'll not speak about her side partner finding, but I'll speak of mine. But when I did find side girls, it was because these girls validated me in my heart's disposition, the kind of man I am, the quality of man I am, which I was not getting from home. And we would get into bed with each other. But me being sloppy, I'm not very good at hiding evidence. I kept getting caught. I get rid of this one, okay, because I got caught. So now there's a hawk eye on that, right? Then I'd find someone else and then boom, get caught. But the thing is, at the point where we got caught the second time or the second person, it wasn't even so much we broke up because of that. It was because we just couldn't find harmony. It was always on fighting, on fighting, on fighting, on fighting. But the easiest thing to say why we didn't work out was because of that girl or your side piece. I'm like, you had one too. It's like, it don't matter. It's yours that counts, right? And that's how we went parted ways. Unfortunately, my son, who was actually raised by me in the first couple of months of the breakup, and then one day, she came, picked up my son, never saw him again. My son is 9 years old today. I ain't seen him in 4 years. And the other 7 years, the other 3 years, after the 4 years, I only saw him at her mercy. And now what hurts is that I've been raised by my dad intensely. And I have the very same intentions for that kid. But nope, my punishment is you won't see your kid. Man, I'm still resourced. I've got money. I'll go fight it in court. Man, who's going to stop me from fighting? I spend up to R1 million with nefarious lawyers. Should I call them nefarious? Because I tried to get this woman in court. Yeah. But I've paid all kinds of advocates. You name some of the best advocates in the countries, they've seen my check. Right. But I've not seen my day in court. And it became very hard to fight. And I was like, you know what? It's okay. I'll move on.
All right. So, that happens. The breakup, your son is taken away from you. You meet another woman who you then get into a relationship with. Let's talk about that.
So to be transparent, the woman I got into a relationship the second time was my side with my first. So my side graduated into being a queen. And that was another stupid decision on my end. Very, very stupid. Anyway, I'm like, you know what? We move on. She validates the hell out of me. Now she's good at validating everything. She would say all the nicest things. She's got this smile. She was very good at putting up a persona for me. I could detect that there was a very thick thread of disingenuous.
Okay.
But she was good at, showing that. But the advantage that me and her had was that we looked good together. She was a different race. She was particularly Chinese. And what happened is that we were building our relationship more and more and more. And she could see where I was going in life.
Yeah.
But then COVID came. And she got pregnant. We decided, you know what? We're keeping the kid.
Yeah, she falls pregnant. She's already your wife.
No, she's not my wife at the time she falls pregnant. Okay. So because I didn't want any of my kids out of wedlock, it was like, let's get married. Right. So we do get married 2-3 weeks before the kid is born, but we couldn't host a wedding because, it's locked down and everything. So we had a marriage officer come to our house. We lived in a mansion anyway. So, it was backyard. Best friends came through.
Sure.
They came to do signing, just a little party over there. We also had a limit of how many people we could have in the house.
Yeah,
so
of course.
everybody else was on Zoom. Her parents were there. My parents were, nowhere near us. Yeah, so they zoomed in, and my two best friends came in with their wives, and boom, we getting married. 3 weeks later, give birth to baby Rome. From that point on, downhill again. Quite a few nasty labels were put onto me. You know them, narcissistic. She found me overbearing. She found me to be a lot of bad things. And here I am trying to be the best man that I can. So no matter how hard I tried, I was just terrible to her. And financially, skyrocketed. It was a nosedive down. But I must add is that before I saw the nosedive, I was going down financially for a while, but I couldn't notice it because, when you're going down financially, you're losing a couple $100,000 a year, you don't feel it when you've got to,
Sure.
I hit the bottom and I decided, you know what, girl, I need to leave to rebuild.
Yeah.
And I said, I'm going to move to a different city. I'm going to move to Cape Town and try to start something there and move from there. For you, just go to my parents' house for 6 months. I'll get you in 6 months.
Yeah.
I think for her, that was her checkout. And my son is a couple months old, not even 6 months.
Yeah.
And how she did it was I went to Europe for about a month, came back. We had a disagreement, and she decided she's going to embarrass me by seeing me in the morning with the argument, in the evening she's with a different man, and post there, I am finally with my dream man. And she did the same thing that my ex-wife did, hold the child for me. Now my son is not even 1 year old. He's taking pictures with this man, trying to aggravate me as much as possible. Now I'm bleeding all over the internet. Now the whole world knows. I think you saw that.
Oh, yeah, I saw it.
It's like, yo, how could she do this? What happened to Through Thick and Thin? I lose some money and now you're off to the next man. My heart was torn apart. I couldn't access my son. And then what happened is that I'm stuck in Cape Town. She flies back to Pretoria where, her home is. And she continues to put me to court. And she made a couple threats. If you do not bring this and this property to me, I'm going to make sure you pay for it.
Right.
And she did. I went through so much court, flying city to city, Johannesburg to Cape Town, city, court. And here's the most painful part. The guy that she was seeing, sister, is an attorney.
Right.
So she has free attorney, and I don't have an attorney at all because I can't seem to afford, getting an attorney. And the only way for me was either jail or being a hobo, because that's what she was gunning for. Because everything that I own, she was going for that. The wildest thing is that to this day, as I sit with you, I don't know any woman that I would have said I've loved more than her.
Right.
And she saw what my first wife did to me, and she swore she would never do that. I thought of my first wife as evil in my head. But after her, I was like, yo, man, maybe I should go back to my first wife and say, I'm sorry, man. You weren't that bad. Let's just try and figure this thing out.
There's levels to this evil stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
But I was fortunate. Let's just call it by the grace of God. And people were very supportive. I remember getting calls from you a couple of times and say, hey, man, hold on. A couple of celebrities, celebrities are all about themselves. It's about I. A couple of celebrities called me. Here, I'm going to say one name. Kulichana calls me. And he's like, yo, man, is there anything I could do to make this better? Because I could see all over the internet crying. He's like, bleeding, yeah. And it's like, no, don't do nothing. Families flew from different countries to come see me. We were going to court. They were participating in court. And they just said, keep fighting. I know that I'm going to be a hobo because this woman is trying to strip me off my dignity. I know that if not, I'm going to end up in jail because the accusations that I've been having, people even started questioning me. Did you actually hit her? She's like, no, that's not the accusations she's making. She's making other accusations. But the accusations were so, so deep. And I fought hard enough to only go to the court one time and said to the court, it's like, and I think this was the maintenance court. It's like, she's demanding money from me more than I even earn.
Right.
How am I going to pay this? And if I did have the money, she would keep my son away from me. So it's fine. You could take me to jail. I don't care. And I screamed this out on court. And she saw, oh, this guy's serious. She asked the magistrate to speak to me on the side. She's like, you know what? You can have your son.
Right.
You can have your son. She offered, you can have your son. It's okay. I can do fortnight visits. I must bear in mind that she didn't want the child. She didn't want to give birth to the child. COVID made the child come into place.
Okay.
So I was happy because I'm like, yes, COVID can't make us get rid of a baby. And she's like, you can have the child. I'm like, okay, good. But she gave me conditions that you move out of Cape Town and you move to Pretoria.
All right. So you're close to her as well.
Yes, I had no choice. She didn't want to move to Cape Town. I had to move this side. I obliged, came back here and all. And then I raised my son for 2 years.
Right.
I mean, you've seen him in this house a couple of times.
Yeah, of course.
Single dad. I'm out there raising my child is amazing. And then just one time, her and her dream guy, I believe, they decide to break up. And I got to pay the price. She wakes us one day in a house where I've allowed her to come visit her child. The house is
open door, come in and out as you please.
The house is massive, so she could be in the house and I wouldn't even notice that she's here. Man, she's probably surprised. How did you rebuild from me stripping you off everything? It's like, it's hustling me, man. I'm never going to go down like that. And she decides she's taking my child. She's not bringing him back because I'm a bad father. And that's that. I'm a bad father. And now that I'm a bad father, guess what? I haven't seen my child since. After 2 years of raising him, not a single cent of maintenance paid from her, not anything required. Everything was paid by me. Now I'm a bad father. How did she reason that I was a bad father? I've been struggling to find myself, a spouse for multiple reasons. I don't think there's quality out there in our time. Number two, I don't think women are actually wanting to date. They just want to extract. So from time to time, she would see, women here because I allow her in the house. I'm like, yeah, we good now.
Yeah.
And then she's like, that's the reason. I don't want my son to be around other women. So I'm like, wait, did you not leave your son for another man? Now you want to pull a morality game? You know what? I didn't say this to her. She's probably going to listen to this for the first time. She knows what it was like for me chasing my first son. I'm not going to chase my second son. So I decided, you know what? I ain't taking nobody to court. Galston's going to be a deadbeat now.
Oof, man. It's tough. But bro, G to G, brother to brother, I would be amiss if I didn't highlight the fact that there seems to be a pattern here. First wife comes into the picture. Y'all have what you're having. There's a child involved. She leaves, takes a child with her, or holds the, the rights and access to the child from you. Second wife comes into the picture. Y'all have what you have. There's a child involved. Fast forward, she's also holding the rights and access to the child. There seems to be a pattern here. I'm in the process of writing a book called Healing Through Accountability. Clearly, you are the common denominator in all of these episodes. When you sit down to do your self-reflection, what have you discovered? What is going on with Galston that is causing this pattern to happen in your life?
I like how you asked that question. And there's a word that you use, accountability. I started off at a place where I'm like, maybe I might be the problem.
Right.
Then I learned that, no, wait. Galston, you definitely not perfect. You
Right.
definitely had made a couple of mistakes. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah.
But I don't think, Galston, you're able to evaluate the arena that you in.
Right.
I think the fact that I've got poor evaluation skills and I'm always oblivious to the nefariousness around me is my problem. I've seen a pattern of myself falling for the same trick over and over and over, therefore getting the same outcome over and over and over. I think because women have a natural proclivity to have an eye we as men don't have, they see that weakness. But now the question becomes, why are they with me? I think they're very in love with the fact that if I had to stand next to a girl, and not to speak highly of myself, I think they would look good.
Right.
From a physical standpoint, it's like, oh, you picked your man good. From articulating standpoint, it's like, oh man, he actually speaks really good. Number three, oh man, he works really hard. How did he get, what does he do to get to this point? I think they're in love with that ability. They're not in love with me. It is not I, the quality of human being, they're interested. Because when all falls apart, the ground that I have and the foot to stand upon is the quality of the man. They don't give a damn about that guy. So my inability to evaluate that these women are there for resources, which is not necessarily a bad thing, but way above who I am is my problem. So if I had to find someone who says, Galston, from hell and back, ups and downs, thick and thin, I want you, then I'm less likely to go to a failing relationship.
Right.
How do I figure this out? My dad is a highly resourced man. He's more successful than I would have ever been. And he's been married more than once, actually. But the one woman that has been through hell and back with him is my mom.
Right.
So in all confidence, and I've seen this before because there was a period of my life where my dad lost a lot of his resources due to looting and burning of his properties. His wife helped him build. None of the women I worked with had any interest in doing that.
Right.
Now, in this whole sentence, I looked like, okay, I'm innocent. I'm a victim to this whole situation. No, actually, I'm the stupid one. They were just doing what the world has conditioned them to do. I did not learn how to condition myself to the environment of the world. And therefore, a lot of things with me came out and was exposed. I became uglier to them.
Right.
Because I wasn't ready for that kind of thing. If I was ready, I'd never get to a place where I'm ugly with them. I'd understand, this is what they're there for. Manage the relationship according to how you got into the relationship and why they're here, not what you think. Right? Which is another attribute to my weak evaluation. So these are the patterns that I see, outside whatever every relationship goes through, it is that I need to look within myself. That if I had to walk forward into a relationship, my evaluation skills has to be a lot better than they were.
Thank you for that. Just thank you for that vulnerability and, and just that honesty. Now, marriage is a good thing because marriage is a God thing, Where are you right now with the Institute of Marriage and committed relationships? Is it something that is it in your foreseeable future? And if you were to get into a relationship that would eventually develop into a marriage, what would you do differently that you have done in the past?
Is it a foreseeable future of me getting married? Yeah, it definitely is. I'm a man that reads the Bible a lot.
Right.
Marriage is not an institution of the government. It's the institution of God.
Yes, sir.
So I definitely want to get married because my spirituality is of something I believe is high. And although I think it could be a lot higher. Having a wife by my side is definitely something I need. What would I do different? I think I'm not going to just look at somebody and decide that she's right by virtue of what she's presenting to me. I think I'll dig deep. I come from a very good structured family. My dad and my mom love each other. If I can't find a woman that's dad and a mom love each other, then I'm going to just have to let her go. I mean, she might be the outlier here by, being a lot different to a generational curses, but the risk is too high for me.
The risk is too high.
The pattern of making the child can't see the child again was never my intention.
Yes, sir.
The intention was to sit and raise my kids, and I partially did that. But unfortunately, that's not the case. So to not repeat the process again, I have to learn to evaluate. If I see that, hey, this will not work between her and I, because not even her qualities, my qualities might be the problem here. Pull back, wait for a time where I'm more ready for a woman like her, or wait for a time where I can find a woman that would be suitable for me. So that's one of the things I'll do different. Number 2 is that I would love a woman with everything that I got, like I used to, but I'd be a hell of a lot more cautious, because there's a trend that women want to be happy, and if they're not happy, they will leave. But here's the thing, happiness is not up to me, it's up to them. So I'd be cautious, be like, at any given point, the world has conditioned women to leave. So I'd stay guarded. I don't like that idea, but I'd stay guarded until I have 10 years of marriage with her. Then I'm like, nah, she earned it.
Then now you can just go all in. Just before we land this conversation, I want to give you, on your platform, the opportunity to speak to your sons. I mean, the internet is a space that gives us opportunities. It allows us to go into houses that we'll never set foot in. It allows us to get into spaces that we may never physically get into. In the event that one day in the future, whether you're still around or not, one or both of your sons comes across this particular video, what would you like to say to them?
Sure.
Both of them and each one of them.
Sure. Whew. Okay, let me try and figure this out. Let me start with Riley.
Here's the camera.
You want me to look in the
I
camera?
want you to look into the camera and talk to Riley.
Oof. It's a hard one, because looking into that lens feels like I'm, looking into my son's eyes. Because it's definitely a little bit of shame. Actually, not even a little bit. A lot of shame in me that I couldn't raise you myself. The shame does not come from, me and your mom being apart, but it comes from the factor that I knew that I want to be a dad, and you're not. Whether whoever's keeping me away from you doesn't matter in this regard. It's more like the factor that I couldn't be there. My father, your grandfather, Frank Anthony, was a hell of a man. I saw it with my eyes. He was a hell of a strict man. Ooh, he could be a headache. But he was a hell of a man, and he made the man that I am today. I've fallen 3 times in my lifetime and been able to rise. My mom is a hell of a woman too, but I don't think she would have done that on her own without my dad. And these were skills, knowledge, wisdom, practices that I wanted to impart to you as my firstborn son. And I never had the opportunity to do that. I don't know what you told at this given point in time, but just know that Daddy literally wants to raise you. If you had to come to my doorstep right now and say, Daddy, I want you to raise me, I'll be like, with honor. But losing 7, 8 years of my life with not raising you is painful. Is a very big piece of me that's torn. Very, very, very big piece. And that the fundamentals of what it means to be a boy. Not only was I robbed from being a father, but you were robbed from being a son. And I can only empathize with that pain because I've never experienced it. It's sad that you're going to be a part of the majority statistic of fatherless kids that are not being raised by my dad, but I was. Even in my time, most people didn't have their dads. I did. And that was a privilege I wanted to give you. And I don't know if this is I am sorry that I couldn't be there, or I'm sorry I couldn't win the fight to get you to be in my household, or I'm sorry for, I don't know what it is, but it's more like, son, know that everything I tried, I got receipts. Bank account statements are there forever. You could trace 10, 20 years back to show you the kind of money that I spent trying to win you, to a point that I went broke fighting for you. So know that your daddy loved you and still does. Can't wait to see you. Rome, you're about 4 this day. You just turned 4 a couple weeks ago. Man, you're the kid that lived with me the longest. 2 years out of your 4 years of life, I was a single dad to you. The other 1 year, it was me and your mom together. The other 1 year was shared between the grandmothers. So to this date, I was the one that did most of the raising. And I tried to fix what I didn't do with Riley because he was not there, or was not there for him. I thought, you know what? I'm going to do it with you. Like your uncle right here said, there's a pattern. Kid goes, and I can't be the best dad I can be. Now, I don't know when I'm going to see you. I hope it's not 4 years. But I'm not fighting for you because I gave up on you. But I'm trying to manage my own health. My emotional health, my mental health. What is happening to me is, yes, abusive. This is something men don't say. It's very abusive. The brutality of being beaten by the women of my life, by leveraging you guys, is tough for me. I'm in a system that I could try all I want. I'm going to come second. I'm in a social media system. They're going to say, why did he not do this? Oh, he shouldn't have done that anyway. They won't recognize that given the situation, I tried everything that I can with my reasonable capacity. They won't understand that I had a myriad of support, yet still failed, because the system is designed for me not to be able to raise you. But to make that long-winded story short, I want you both to understand that Galston Anthony's the best to ever do it. You guys are my blood, so your guys will be the best to ever do it, like I was taught. I don't know how to teach you in person, but I hope these videos one day reach you and you get to understand who your dad is, why he was like this. And the knowledge that I want to impart on you will be left for generations to come through mediums like the internet. You find me, I'd be so happy. But if you can, call your grandpa. He'll tell you everything.
Bro, thank you for just pouring your heart out, man. Thank you for being vulnerable and just using this to create a moment that will live forever. I think you've spoken the heart of not just Galston Anthony, but a lot of other men out there who are going through the same thing. I operate in the space of being a life and purpose coach. You'd be surprised at the number of men who sit across, my desk and have a similar story. So thank you for being the voice of those men who may not necessarily have the opportunity or the platform. But before we get out of here, you are unapologetically Galston, and it is there's no other place where that is at the most or at the best display than in the comment section of the G2G podcast.
Oh, man.
You're always ready to swing. When the comments push, you push back. What is it that you're trying to? Because usually people are trying to be politically correct in the comment section.
For me,
People
don't
are
start
trying to-
nothing. They're going to be nothing.
Yeah.
All right? They're going to
Yeah.
be none. I've been in the game for 21 years. I understand how people think. I've designed artists, celebrities, politicians as well, to be able to deal with people in the world. So I'm the teacher here. So now the teacher's coming up front. Man, I'm the master. Get into the comment section, say something nasty. Ooh, hoo, 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 hoo.
Let's
I
dance.
already know what you're going to say before you even say it, so I got a rebuttal, you know? So don't play no games. I'm coming for you, you know?
Oh, man. As we get out of here, I'm going to allow you to plug and once again invite people to like, comment, and subscribe.
Absolutely. Like, comment, subscribe. Be nice. Be nice on the because if not, you know what's going to happen to you. You know, don't say you didn't see this coming. It's going to happen. Number 2, I want y'all to tell me what y'all guys think as an overall. It's not often where I find myself in this vulnerable position, but it was great doing it with him.
Yes, sir.
That's right. KrTC Banza. And I want you to follow him as well. Make sure that you find him on Instagram as Courtesy of Hip Hop, TikTok, and so much more. This man, I said when I grow up, I want to be him. So thank you for having me. And yeah.
Bro, appreciate you so much. And I wish you nothing but the best. I cannot wait to pull up to your wedding, to pull up to your children's christening, and to pull up to all of your anniversaries as you grow. But most importantly, I just love watching the evolution of Galston Anthony, and I have a front row seat. Thank you so much for inviting me to come along.
It's only a pleasure, but let's first find me a wife.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for tuning in. It's peace, love, and happiness. Way out.